Bungie cooked so absolutely hard with all of these new weapon ornaments that I'm actually going to start out this video with them. But in case you don't know or are just joining the Destiny train right now, basically every new season or episode, at least at current, there is a new release of a variety of cosmetics available at the Eververse store. One of the big ones that people are going to be talking about is the Star Wars Armor collab, but I'll get into that sort of bits when I go into the more class-specific stuff. But let's actually get into her store and skipping all the way back to the end, because oh my goodness, some of these weapon ornaments. Starting off the front, we have an Outbreak Perfected Overgrown, which it may not be my favorite of the bunch, at least of the new ones, but Jesus Christ, this looks clean as ever. It is kind of a Neomuna greenhouse look, if I had to guess, but it just looks amazing. Not to mention creative, because I never would have imagined greenhouse to be a theme for Outbreak. Next, we have Fatal Howl, which is kind of an, I think it's a Cerberus look for Dead Messenger, which is perfectly fitting. Personally, I don't use Dead Messenger, but this still looks absolutely amazing compared to even the base version. Next up is the Final Dictum, which I think is how you say that, which is to say a Darkness Ornament for Ergo Sum, which... do I need to say anything else? This just looks absolutely amazing, frankly, looking at it. A nice black and orange darkness idea. As much as Ergo Sum is lights in theme, darkness it also needs to be. Next is Time's Inlay for the Vex Mythic class, which I don't even need to say anything about this. This just looks amazing. It is a nice, solid, clean wood with silver steel finishing, or just silver polish and everything. It almost makes it look like a classic dueling pistol, but, you know, Vex Mythic class. Next, we have the Cleaver, which, as much as it removes the chainsaw bit of it, it is just a basic, jagged, almost like tooth. There's no good way to say it, but it's basically just a stone tooth version of the Lament, which, again, I may not use it in regular play, but this still looks amazing in comparison. Then next we have Break Shot for the Sunshot, which is to say it is kind of like the Solar 3.0 armor version of Sunshot. Some nice molten glow and otherwise clean, I don't know if ornamental design is the word to go for it, but that's what I'm calling it. Next up is the Strider's Pinion for the, Vigilance Wing, which, again, I'm not a fan of Vigilance Wing per se. I think it's kind of a useless rifle for me, but at the same time, this is just awesome looking. It still has a wing. I imagine this is Neomuna Cloud Strider base for everything. It almost looks like a CSGO ornament in my eyes. Now into the next page is some of the hardest hitter ones. Starting off, we have Polaris Lance, which is the heavy-duty ornament. It's just a steampunk scrapper look. I didn't expect this for it, considering how many other ornaments. Like the Ikelos one is my personal favorite. This one is definitely fighting to try and take that title of new best ornament for it. Next is the High Rolling Lowlife, which is Malfeasance, but gilded up with a nice ivory and gold design. Plus, it actually looks a little bit more jagged, like it took a cue from a Thorn in a weird way. But at the same time, it just looks good. It actually, instead of just giving it a highlight, it actually changed the way it looked a little bit, which is always my goal when it comes to ornaments. Next, the Serrated Oath for Ariana's Vow. It just makes it a straight-up dragon in its design. Once it finally there we go. Dragon teeth glowing red, as well as just spikiness. I'm actually a huge fan of this, and that actually might replace my permanent ornament for it compared to the charred black. And the next, possibly the greatest one, the Chain Ripper, which turns Monte Carlo into the Lancer from Gears of War. I'm not even joking when I say that. It just looks so great, not to mention the chainsaw is actively running. I can't imagine running down enemies with the bayonet charge with a chainsaw. Like, that is just amazing and so out there. And then possibly the next favorite, one that I didn't expect to see coming, a Cerberus +1 ornament that looks great. Even if Cerberus +1 is still really out of the way in terms of thought content for I should use that because it's a good option. Regardless, it just looks very clean. It slims it up, gives it a nice design, and especially thinning with the 4 wolf heads. It's just, there's nothing else I should have to say about it. It looks great. Now, while it's not available right now, I think they're doing something very similar to the last episode where they showed a sort of set of elemental vehicles, and then towards the next couple of seasons, or next couple of acts, they released a armor set to match with it. This time, a stasis set, which I have a picture of, and I'll show it right here, right now. Courtesy of one of my friends in the Discord, but basically this is supposedly the new Stasis Armor set that'll be coming to Destiny in either Act 2 or Act 3 of Heresy. And on top of that, they did, again, have an elemental ship set, ship, sparrow, and everything else to go with it. all stasis themed in the Black Ice pack right here, with a jump ship, a Sparrow that will hopefully eventually load, but I don't think it will, so I'm going to have to show a separate picture of it, and a nice little icy shatter shell to go along with it. Very clean looking. Now, per the usual when it comes to these acts, there is bundles for all three because there is usually a set. So just to start them off, we have the Event Horizon Skimmer set right here. With this 3 set, it is a very good, clean, future tech design for all of the sort of thing. There is, I don't know if it's obviously what's the word, reference to Event Horizon the movie, but it is a very clean neon Neomuna look in a weird way, almost very Tronish. Then there is also the Episodic Heresy bundle, which does come with another set of what seems to be ship, Sparrow, and shell, everything. But then there is also the Net Infiltrator, which seems to be a very, very Vex network look with a very unique looking ship in comparison. And then we also have the Renaissance bundle, which is a bunch of old tech style version of Sparrows and ghost ships in case you wanted to look like you were powered by wind. And there is, let's see, the, of course, Galactic Empire set, which gives you a speeder bike Sparrow for Star Wars, as well as a TIE bomber looking jump ship or a TIE fighter, and a Death Star looking ghost shell. And of course, with that, there is the Star Wars themed sets. This is the Titan in-game and how it looks unshaded, just to show you all what it looks like. Personally, I'm still not a very big fan because Stormtrooper is the most basic of armor sets and looks in the Star Wars franchise. But then, of course, the other 2 characters have their own respective look. I will cover that in the next couple of characters. But then going through the rest, there is, of course, shaders and basic just sets for everything else. Like I said, there is the ship, Sparrow, and shell set that all go together, as well as some new finishers. The top right here is the Star Wars one for doing a Palpatine, which is just honestly a universal version of that one Stormcaller emote, now for the other 2 classes. And we also have Paracausal Pitch, which is, I guess, you just chucking a piece of random elemental rocks to guess. Yep, it's just you chucking random elemental rocks, depending on which subclass, I imagine. And the Riot Control finisher, which I think is just supposed to be the Titan Star Wars version with punching with the stun baton sort of thing. Then the Beam of Light, which, well, that's a freaking weird one. Just replaying that to see what it was. I don't know what that's supposed to be, if it's anything, but I'll just go with it. And of course, we always have updated new emotes, many of them in references to Star Wars with a faded dual lightsaber emote, zoning out, a variety of other things. I'll let you all explore those in case you wish to see them. But then some of the more important things that people come here for, the armor ornaments. So right now, on Titans, we do have the Harrier ornament, which is a very clean look for Pyrogale gauntlets. As much as Pyrogale kind of got put in the background a little bit because it's not among Prismatic, I will certainly buy this one and make a look for it because I love Pyrogale as a whole. Next is an ornament for Stoicism, the Heart's Pledge, which I imagine all 3 of the other characters will, or all 3 characters will have their own versions for the class items. But in addition to this new ornament for it that is a cleaner look, there is also the Steady Virtue, which is a paired armor set for it, which in its natural state is a little light and dark look, but when it is activated, which I will show here in a moment, it does have a more natural glow to it in addition to everything else. So let me just get back into that menu and get to the right page. Right here, you can see as it went from light to dark, it is still a little bit light to dark with a lighter tone here and there, but it is otherwise just a prismatic glow. And the same could be said for the Solar Storm. Sadly, it does not seem to want to preview any effects on it, whether it glows or shows anything else. It's still a pretty cool looking helmet, but this is also supposed to go with the Stoicism class item. So keep that in mind. And nextly, there is the Syntheseps Gauntlets that is basically a medieval design. There isn't much else to say for it. It is chainmail medieval chains for Syntheseps, so we'll just have to wait and see how well this pairs with a variety of other armors, because Syntheseps always looked weird with its weird veins. But let's check on other classes for their available ornaments this time around. Moving on to the Hunters, for their armor ornaments this season, they have the Death Trooper armor, which is personally the thing I was most hopeful for when I heard Star Wars collab, which it's basically the most badass of stormtroopers there is in existence, compared to only one other that I can think of, and that is the Warlock's ornament. We'll get into that more in the future. Otherwise, just naturally is a very clean, solid black with a slight bit of blue glow and a small blue visor. But then getting into their main armor, just to see what it is, I didn't actually take a peek at this, so I'm not exactly sure what it is. On the front, we have Omni Oculus, the Mechano Pupil, which, oh, okay, it's a Daito look that lessens the amount of eyes and also makes them slightly less freaky, because even though they still blink, it is not so much out there. So if you weren't a fan of Omnioculus's many eyes, maybe this is a better ornament for you. And next is the Mothkeeper's Wraps with Luna Powered, which it seems... Ooh, that's actually kind of cool in design. It almost looks like the little moth on the shoulder became solar panels. It also looks cleaner. So it looks like they're kind of going with the theme of Neomuna high-tech upgrades with every sort of bit of armor. But unfortunately, it's actually not. There we go. We have Relativism. Whoa, I am actually a bit of a fan of that, because even though I hate Relativism in its base form and thinking it's obnoxious, same with the other ornament, this one is a little bit less so, because it doesn't take as much space, visually at least. I might definitely be a fan of this one. And to see what the armor that goes with it, hang on, let me also equip Relativism, just so that we can have that sorted. Let's see, we have the Unobjective, which is... Whoa. Okay, so that peels the hood back and whites it out. I could definitely be a fan of this one just because of how much it reduces the visuals on the hood, although I'm not sure if I'm a fan of just the helmet. It's hard to say. I'll have to mess with shaders and see how it works out in the end. And we also have the Lacewing Hunter Universal Ornament, although this one is not for Stoicism as well, which makes me think that the other one was misplaced and not supposed to be with Stoicism. So this one is Lacewing to go with the Mothkeeper's Wraps. Not exactly sure what will be done to it in perspective, but we'll just have to wait and see when we pair it up ourselves. The Warlocks for the Star Wars collaboration armor have the Imperial Guard set, which looks appropriately Warlock when you actually think about it, because even though it has armored helmets, it has more of a cloth look for its basic armor. Even though it does have some weird warping in the groin area, it does seem to be pretty clear nonetheless, with a pretty simple class item with just a little pokey proddy. But then with their ornaments, just to look down the line, we also have for Briarbind's Coaxial Vine, which I guess is just, in perspective, a tech look for Briarbinds, as they did kind of just look like weird void fruit on your arm, and this is a little bit more armor-like, just to put in perspective. It does seem to match the Omnioculus ornament for Hunters, though. And next we have for the Sunbracers, Warfire, another great-looking one for Sunbracers. I almost wish they would stop making them for Sunbracers, because I just keep buying them. They just keep looking better and better than the last one. And next we have the Solipsism Cursed Chitin, which is the only one that's different from the other two, because this just seems to be straight up Chitin and Hive themey, almost matching, what's it called? That grenade armor that I'm forgetting the name of off the top of my head that came with Warmind. But then to compare, we also have for Solipsism the Internal Epistemology, which I think is saying it right, which I don't know. Well, that might match with the other version of Relativism, or Solipsism. But then we also have the Helium Reactor to match with that one of Sunbracers, which just to equip that and see how it looks. Oh, that is actually quite cool. Oh, that is very much Firebender, the armor, in perspective. And I will also check right now what is Solipsism's, just so that we can see, just to be sure. Let's see, we also have Internal Epistemology. Oh, that is a great look. A prismatic update for the set of armor. It looks very clean. I would be a fan of this one for sure if I had more opportunities to wear Solipsism personally. But regardless, that is the Eververse update. Now, per the usual, this is seasonal, and they won't disappear forever. But throughout the season, there will be a random amount of these available for Brightdust at any one time. In addition to that, there is the archive. Something will be added to the archive a season after, if that makes sense. Majority of the archive is filled the season after. So whatever season comes after the next season is when everything during Heresy's running will be added. So just to make it simpler on that rough explanation, next season this will all go away, and the season after that it will be added to the archive, randomly having things enter the main store for the Brightdust at random points through time. So if you want to get anything from the season, get it while you can. Don't wait for it, because if you wait for it, there's a chance you might miss it. And otherwise, as much as that Brightdust you've been saving could be worth it, there is many things I would say is worth buying this time around. Regardless, this has been the Heresy Eververse update, and I definitely think Bungie has been cooking. I think the Star Wars collab was a little bit light. It should have been Mandalorian characters, personally, that would have fit so well. But regardless, this has been the Eververse update. My name is the Mad Scorpion, and I will see you in the next video.